Hello everyone! Welcome to Business School 101. An essential decision facing an international firm is where to position its production activities to best minimize costs and improve product quality. Besides country-level environmental factors I covered in a previous video, two groups of factors, technological factors and product factors, also must be considered. First, technological factors. The type of technology a firm uses to perform specific manufacturing activities can be pivotal in location decisions. For example, because of technological constraints, in some cases it is necessary to perform certain manufacturing activities in only one location and serve the world market from there. In other cases, the technology may make it feasible to perform an activity in multiple locations. Three characteristics of a manufacturing technology are of interest here: the level of fixed costs, the minimum efficient scale, and the flexibility of the technology. Let us discuss these separately. Number 1. Fixed costs. As noted in my previous video, in some cases the fixed costs of setting up a production plant are so high that a firm must serve the world market from a single location or from very few locations. For example, it now costs up to $5 billion to set up a state-of-the-art plant to manufacture semiconductor chips. Given this, other things being equal, serving the world market from a single plant sited at a single location can make sense. Conversely, a relatively low level of fixed costs can make it economical to perform a particular activity in several locations at once. This allows the firm to better accommodate demands for local responsiveness. Manufacturing in multiple locations may also help the firm avoid becoming too dependent on one location. Being too dependent on one location is particularly risky in a world of floating exchange rates. Many firms disperse their manufacturing plants to different locations as a real hedge against potentially adverse moves in currencies. Number 2. Minimum efficient scale. The concept of economies of scale tells us that as plant output expands, unit costs decrease. The reasons include the greater utilization of capital equipment and the productivity gains that come with specialization of employees within the plant. However, beyond a certain level of output, few additional scale economies are available. Thus, the unit cost curve declines with output until a certain output level is reached, at which point further increases in output realize little reduction in unit costs. The level of output at which most plant-level scale economies are exhausted is referred to as the minimum efficient scale of output. This is the scale of output a plant must operate to realize all major plant-level scale economies. The implications of this concept are as follows. The larger the minimum efficient scale of a plant relative to total global demand, the greater the argument for centralizing production in a single location or a limited number of locations. Alternatively, when the minimum efficient scale of production is low relative to global demand, it may be economical to manufacture a product at several locations. For example, the minimum efficient scale for a plant to manufacture smartphones is about 5 million units a year, while the total global demand exceeds 1 billion units a year. The low level of minimum efficient scale in relation to total global demand makes it economically feasible for companies such as Apple, Samsung, and Huawei to assemble smartphones in multiple locations. As is the case of low fixed costs, the advantages of a low minimum efficient scale include allowing the firm to accommodate demands for local responsiveness or to hedge against currency risk by manufacturing the same product in several locations. Number 3. Flexible manufacturing system. A flexible manufacturing system is a production method that is designed to easily adapt to changes in the type and quantity of the product being manufactured. Machines and computerized systems can be configured to manufacture a variety of parts and handle changing levels of production. Flexible manufacturing systems can improve efficiency and thus lower a company's production cost. Flexible manufacturing also can be a key component of a make-to-order strategy that allows customers to customize the products they want. A flexible manufacturing system may include a configuration of interconnected processing workstations with computer terminals that process the end-to-end creation of a product, from loading and unloading functions to machining and assembly, to storing and quality testing and data processing. The system can be programmed to run a batch of one set of products in a particular quantity and then automatically switch over to another set of products in another quantity. One example of the flexible manufacturing system is in the clothing industry, where apparel firms use computer-controlled machines to cut fabrics that match individual body measurements. Despite these benefits, please keep in mind that such flexibility can come with higher upfront costs. Purchasing and installing the specialized equipment that allows for such customization may be costly compared with more traditional systems. After discussing the technological factors, let us examine the product factors. There are two major product features that affect a manager's location decisions. First, value-to-weight ratio. The value-to-weight ratio of a product is a measure of the monetary value a product has per kilogram or pound. It is an important measure used in supply chain design and strategy. Many electronic components and pharmaceuticals have high value-to-weight ratios. They are expensive and they do not weigh very much. Thus, even if they are shipped halfway around the world, their transportation costs account for a very small percentage of total costs. Given this, other things being equal, there is great pressure to produce these products in the optimal location and to serve the world market from there. The opposite holds for products with low value-to-weight ratios. Refined sugar, certain bulk chemicals, paint, and petroleum products all have low value-to-weight ratios. They are relatively inexpensive products that weigh a lot. Accordingly, when they are shipped long distances, transportation costs account for a large percentage of total costs. Thus, other things being equal, there is great pressure to make products with low value-to-weight ratios in multiple locations close to major markets to reduce transportation costs. Second, viability to serve universal needs. The other product feature that can influence location decisions is whether the product serves universal needs that are the same all over the world. For example, many industrial products, such as industrial electronics, steel, bulk chemicals, and modern consumer products, such as handheld calculators, personal computers, and video game consoles. Because there are few national differences in consumer taste and preference for such products, the need for local responsiveness is reduced. This increases the attractiveness of concentrating production at a centralized location. When we integrate all factors we discussed, we can tell that there are two basic strategies for locating production facilities: concentrating them in a centralized location and serving the world from there, or decentralizing them in various regional or national locations that are close to major markets. The appropriate strategic choice is determined by the various country-specific technological, and product factors. As we see in this table, concentration of production makes most sense when differences between countries in factor costs, political economy, and culture have a substantial impact on the costs of manufacturing in various countries. Trade barriers are low. Externalities arising from the concentration of like enterprises favor certain locations. Important exchange rates are expected to remain relatively stable. The production technology has high fixed costs and high minimum efficient scale relative to global demand, or flexible manufacturing technology exists. The product's value-to-weight ratio is high, and the product serves universal needs. Alternatively, decentralization of production is appropriate when differences between countries in factor costs, political economy, and culture do not have a substantial impact on the costs of manufacturing in various countries. Trade barriers are high, location externalities are not important, volatility in important exchange rates is expected, the production technology has low fixed costs and low minimum efficient scale, and flexible manufacturing technology is not available, the product's value-to-weight ratio is low, and the product does not serve universal needs, which means significant differences in consumer tastes and preferences exist between nations. Please keep in mind that in practice, location decisions are seldom clear-cut. For example, it is not unusual for differences in factor costs, technological factors, and product factors to point toward concentrated production, while a combination of trade barriers and volatile exchange rates points toward decentralized production. This seems to be the case in the world automobile industry. Although the availability of flexible manufacturing and cars' relatively high value-to-weight ratios suggest concentrated manufacturing, The combination of formal and informal trade barriers and the uncertainties of the world's current floating exchange rate regime have inhibited firms' ability to pursue this strategy. For these reasons, several automobile companies have established top-to-bottom manufacturing operations in 3 major regional markets: Asia, North America, and Western Europe. Lastly, when managers pick the production location overseas, they should also be aware of the hidden costs. There may be some hidden costs to basing production in a foreign location. Numerous anecdotes suggest that high employee turnover, shoddy workmanship, poor product quality, and low productivity are significant issues in some outsourcing locations. For example, Microsoft established a major facility in Hyderabad, India, for 4 very good reasons. First, the wage rate of software programmers in India is 1/3 of that in the United States. Second, India has an excellent higher education system that graduates a lot of computer science majors every year. Third, there was already a high concentration of information technology companies and workers in Hyderabad. Fourth, many of Microsoft's highly skilled Indian employees, after spending years in the United States, wanted to return home, and Microsoft saw the Hyderabad facility as a way of holding on to this valuable human capital. However, the company has found that the turnover rate among its Indian employees is higher than in the United States. Demand for software programmers in India is high, and many employees are prone to switch jobs to get better pay. Although Microsoft has tried to limit turnover by offering good benefits and long-term incentive pay, such as stock grants, to high performers who stay with the company, many of the Indians who were hired locally apparently place little value on long-term incentives and prefer higher current pay. High employee turnover, of course, has a negative impact on productivity. So, what do you think about firms' strategies for locating production facilities? Please leave your thoughts in a comment below. If you liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you.